So that's me finished another long day, Emma's. It was quite cool in there actually, so I can't complain today. It's 26.5 degrees in the car. Now I've got a long one tonight. I've got 4 hours tonight. I'm going all the way from Witney in the Cotswolds, Oxfordshire, all the way up to Tadcaster and a campsite up there. It's about 4 hours. I'm going to stop tonight and just get some fish and chips because it's just too late to eat once we get there. But a great day today. I got a whole load done. We're delighted with the response from the Facebook ads that we put out. We're delighted with the response with the Christmas minis that we put out. 2 new Facebook ads up and running as well. One of them's a cracking video, another one's a picture just to compare them. And it's all these things that you just have to bring in business any way you possibly can. Now, Emma's doing particularly well at the minute, and I'm thrilled for her. And I'm going to just get away now because, as I say, I've got a long ride and it's just past 5 o'clock. And by the time I stop and get something to eat and probably stop for a pee at some point, it's going to be a late one. So we'll see when I get there. Bye just now. So I've arrived here at the caravan site up in Tadcaster. So the video is actually showing me quite bright, but it's actually pretty dark actually. The sun's well down now and the site is really busy. This is a long straight part of the River Ouse which is used for water skiing, and I think maybe that's what some of these people are here for at the minute. Anyway, listen, it was a 4-hour journey. It's 9 o'clock, bang on 9 o'clock, and this is me almost through my week. I've got a visit tomorrow to Rachel Stewart at Evelyn and her Sweet Peas Photography in Tadcaster, and then I'm off to further north. I'm off to Newcastle on Friday. So already you'll be getting an idea of the type of trips that I do and what I get up to on these trips. I mean, tomorrow when we meet Rachel, you'll see that she's one of the best photographers in the country. I think I'm right in saying this. I think Rachel's the only person to have scored 100 points in the print competition in the Professional Photographers of America, or WPPI, or one of these associations, which is an incredible feat. But here's the thing, and I've done a video about this before. Do you know what? It doesn't matter how good your photography is. You know, great art does not mean a great business, and the business is more important than the art, I'll be honest with you. You know, do the art on your own time and do the business as a business. But anyway, listen, I'm going to head to my camper van now, get it set up. I'm not set up yet. I'm going to have myself a wee beer, watch something on the telly, and I'll speak to you in the morning. Good night. Tadcaster is one of these very strange places. It's full of buildings that are wrecked, and it's full of the most historic, beautiful buildings. It's a real mixture, but it's dominated in the skyline by the Samuel Smith Brewery. So as we come down this road here, and we come round the corner, look at this right building here, and then right across the road is Evelyn and her Sweet Peas. So that's where we're heading today. Hi Rach.
Hi.
So, as you know, I've been doing a wee vlog this week of my travels, and I showed you a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
And I was mentioning earlier in one of the videos that you're probably, no, I don't even think probably, I think definitely the most creative photographer that I work with. Your work is fantastic, and as a photographer to photographer,
Yeah.
you know, it's amazing. But I would like you to tell the people who are watching this what it really means. The best way to do it is just tell me a little bit about your history, about how you got into photography and where this creativity actually came from, and how it's not everything.
It's very true. It's staying with the century. So I'm self-taught. I started taking photos on my old bridge camera. One Boxing Day, my best mate and I went to Curry's and had just ended up buying a camera. That's where it all started. So I'd post photos of my daughter Marcy, who was only maybe 2 at the time. And people would start saying, oh, I love your photos. Will you take pictures of my kids? So I thought, oh, why not? That's where it all started. Obviously, fast forward however many years later, I started looking at competition work, and I'm quite an all or nothing person, and I went in and I worked weekends for free. I did model calls, I chased children around parks, find the parents and say, hi, I'm not a weirdo, I'm a photographer, but your kid's gorgeous, I'd love to photograph them. Gave them the details, they'd often come. Found people on Instagram, and I just fixated on it really. I fixated on award-winning images. I did training, I read, and like I said, I just worked free and just practice. So from that then I started entering competitions, and I remember the first few I entered, that gutting feeling of not scoring when you think your picture's the best thing ever, and it's just not. And then so things started picking up, and I started winning bits here and there, and then I entered WPPI, I got second in that. So that gave me the bug then, and that's when I just started really going in. So I did, prior to this, I like still driving and thinking of what I could do, and there's a little driving. How do you like that?
I got that.
That was for you. So yeah, and I decided to do an animal series. So I did an animal series, but instead of people photoshopping animals, I thought I'll use real ones. So I found like well cared for animals like skunks and meerkats, skinny pigs, raccoon, turtles, snakes. I've done a lot of animals, but snails, all sorts. Anyway, so I did all them. I did an animal series. That was great, loved that. And I won quite a few comps with them, and that started my creativity off. And often when I'd see a subject, and I think you've got to really be in the mind. You've got to be in the right mindset for creativity, I think. You've got to be in that. And as I say, I'm all or nothing. And if I'm in it, I'm in it. And I'll see a subject, and for some reason, something will pop into my mind, and it will just create something that then I want to. I've got loads of ideas at the minute that I'd love to create, and then it just flows from there. But,
What's the but?
Well, the but is that when you run a photography business, the creativity is great, but it absolutely means nothing. No. You know, you will get clients that come to you because they've seen your work and they've chosen it, and that's fine, but actually you could probably show someone, you know, 2 similar pieces. One's just a little bit more creative, but at the end of the day, it's a well-lit, well-presented image. A client's going to love it, it's their family, you know, so that's what's important, is delivering, you know, high quality, well put together photos for your clients. So I did really well with WPPI, and I expected something on my return. We got into the Yorkshire Post, Hannah and I, who Hannah Harpin, who the subject winner is. Hannah's amazing, and it was in the Yorkshire Post, and I'm sat by my phone when it got released, thinking, right, I'm gonna get some inquiries here. You know, there was tumbleweed for days and weeks after, and I realised that actually it meant absolutely. Don't get me wrong, the 100%. What's the word? Achievement, gratification. Yeah. I'll never forget it, and I haven't actually entered any competition since, because I don't know how you trump 100-point grand prize winner. You can quite really just go downhill from there. So in short, it was incredible. I expected loads from it, and I achieved what I couldn't have dreamed of achieving. Yeah. And out in Vegas, it's a memory I'll never forget with my very close friends, and it means it's embedded in me. 100%. However, when you've got bills to pay, you realise actually none of it matters so much, and I didn't really believe that. Someone said to me once, but what do the competitions bring? And I was really offended. I was like, well, what do you mean, like the competitions? And they're incredible, and they're incredible to enter, and they give you a focus, and I love still looking at the award-winning images. But business-wise, we're talking business here, they brought me nothing
No.
at all. Clients come in and some of them will say, usually the kids will go, is that real diamond? I'll be like, wish it was. And people, they might say, what's that for? They're not bothered.
No.
They're not bothered what you've won. They want a nice experience. They want images that they're going to cherish to walk away with that are presented beautifully, a nice experience, and that's what it boils down to. I was missing the whole point for a long time and found myself always doing okay at work, just okay, really. But I think everybody in the industry's felt the pinch in the past year. Longer, actually, I started noticing that my bookings were down. And I bounced from one thing to the next in terms of paying people to try and sort my SEO out, try to push Facebook, social media a little bit, putting on minis and offers that would flunk, and it's soul destroying because you think this could work. I'm really desperate. When you're desperate, it just doesn't come like that. So I was bouncing one thing to the next and not really getting anywhere. And at the start of this year, it got worse and worse due to personal circumstances. You know, I have bills to pay on my own, obviously for me and my daughter. So I started to panic a little bit, and I have friends in the industry that have obviously used yourself, and I've heard loads of good things. And I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, to be quite honest. I don't know why. But I said to...
Takes sometimes when you're desperate, isn't it? When you're like really needing it, that's when you go and do it, as opposed to
well, it's
doing
silly,
it.
really, because while I could have saved myself, you know, all sorts, really, had I just stepped foot through your door earlier on, but...
particularly as one of your best friends has been with me for...
Yes, well, yeah, telling me, and I'd be... So we'd go away, and Emma would be saying, Emma, Gemma and I have a little WhatsApp group, and we're often touching base, and Emma will be like, yeah, I've got 5 million shoots today and 100,000 viewings next week, and I've got one for the entire month, and I'd sit there sort of like twiddling my thumbs like... So we'd gone to Birmingham, and I'd said to Emma, can you please message Kenny for me now? Like, I am absolutely like, she bailed me out on some drinks, I was skint, but you know, and it was just like, I mean, she didn't mind, and I've got good friends, but you know, I thought, come on now, you're late 30s, you need to sort this out. So yeah, I contacted you, and my whole everything has changed for the better, because once you start having that sort of self-worth and being able to afford your bills, your rent, everything, that affects your mindset for everything else. So it has a ripple domino effect on everything else. So things are just, what has it been like, month 3 now?
Well, it's great to see. I mean, you're just starting to really get into some sort of gear yet, and we haven't even really started. I always say it takes about 6 months to really get going. But you know, last month you were on £1,000, you're on £1,000 average this month so far, and that's climbed up from, you know, a couple of £100 at the beginning of the year, and then it went up to maybe £400, and then last month it was like £600, and this month it's £1,000. All the start, we're really June, I think, really, so when the session started to come in, and it just gives you such, you know, when you know you got people coming in that week. I keep going on about this, that the volume is in many ways as important as the average value. The average value is great, but if you only get one of them every month, that's not much good.
No.
So, but when you know you've got, you know, 5 sessions coming in a week, or it's just such a comfort, and you know your averages is going up. And we've still got to get your sales software sorted. We've still got other things to do.
Loads to do. Even in the studio, there's plenty to do. But as a start point, it's unbelievable.
That's great.
Unbelievable.
I'm delighted for you. Really, I'm delighted for you. The one thing I was going to mention when you were talking about creativity there, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this on the channel before, or really in any videos, but many years back, around about 2000 or 2002, I was challenged by Brian Glover Smith, who was my mentor at the time, to put on an exhibition which had the craziest photographs that you've ever seen in your life. They were literally out of focus, like stick insects photographed wide open out of focus. So you got these stick insects dancing, people's half heads, kids getting biddled round with their mum and dad, but totally out of focus. It was just literally like a long exposure roundabout thing. Crazy crops with somebody right off the bottom corner and just space. And we put on an amazing exhibition in a shopping centre. and we had like 40-inch by 40-inch metal frames with a 12-inch by 12-inch aperture, with these huge frames, so like they'd been burnished with a grinder. Crazy stuff, right? And we put this exhibition up, and the amount of people who came onto the stand off their own back, which normally you have to drag them on, who came in and just went, my God, what is this? And we're going, no, we're just really pushing family portraiture. We're really giving it something. Wow, it's amazing. And we sold 80 vouchers that week. Now we had 3 or 4 top salespeople came up to help us, but we were all on the stand and we sold about 80 vouchers. But you know the really interesting thing about this, right? So when they came in for their viewings, out of all the people who bought the vouchers, only one person went for the totally over the top picture. Right? The rest of them went a level down. Now, they didn't go for a triangle, they didn't go for people lying on their tummies. They went for something a little bit funkier, but they didn't go for the out and out crazy avant-garde stuff that we were showing on the stand. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. So what they're doing here is they're like buying into the idea, but not actually going ahead with the idea. It's like going to a fashion show and there's a haute couture on Vivienne Westwood show. Nobody ever wears that stuff, but they buy into the Vivienne Westwood brand, and that's exactly what happened. And to this day, and I don't know why, we've never repeated it. We should do it again, because it was amazing, the reaction we got off the people, because they had never seen anything like it. And it's very similar to what you're saying there. You can take all these amazing award-winning pictures with frogs coming out of people's hair, and the photographers go mental. But the customers probably aren't going to buy that, but they're going to buy a nice smiling picture of their kid looking at the camera.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I think for me, as a photographer, creativity is, that is built within me, and I want to, when I'm giving myself time, when everything's, sort of running smoothly. Well, it is running smoothly, but we're still, obviously, as we've mentioned, there's still so much to do.
Yeah, totally.
When things are ticking over and I'm in a real routine of how everything's working, because at the moment it's just work, which I thrive off. I love it. I love coming to work at the back-to-back shoots. I love my clients coming in. Clients love it. Clients loving the wall art, all the rest of it. I'd like to be able to separate some time to start my brain ticking, because that is what, really...
Well, make the money and then be as creative.
Exactly, because then I can. I'm not worrying about
100%. That's
clear ahead.
That's my exact philosophy. Is you don't want to create art in the business. You want to create really beautiful, sellable pictures. And by the way, the most important thing is give people an absolutely brilliant experience. That's the key thing. But that's exactly where we are. But I remember your attitude now, your whole demeanour is different to the first day I walked in here. You were actually quite down the first day I walked in here, and that's what happens when what happens when you haven't got, when things aren't happening for you. And suddenly, once a little bit of success comes, and it's no huge success, it's a long, you're going to get much better, and you make a lot of money. It's amazing the difference that can make to your whole outlook on life.
It does.
To everything.
It really, really does, because it was I think just before we'd started, I was sat in my garden, it was warm, and I was writing down all my outgoings, and I was having a sort of, what's the saying, rob Peter to pay Paul, just taking this out of this to pay that and all the rest of it. And I was on the phone to my poor dad, and Dad's always, obviously, he's the best man, and he would always say, don't worry about it, I'll help you, you can't, I'm 40 years old, I've got a 15-year-old daughter, I've got a house, 2 dogs. Late 30s. I know it's hard to believe, no makeup either, or lashes. So my dad's fantastic, but I've really got to sort of take the bull by the horns here, so he's thrilled, I'm thrilled. And though obviously, as everybody's experiencing the pinch at the minute, the bills, that everything costs so much, but my frame of mind, sometimes when I look at my bank account, I think, oh, I've got all that to pay out. And I don't really think like that now. I think, how lucky am I to be able to pay everybody? I know all my bills are paid. I look at next month and I see my diaries filling and filling and filling, and I think, and that is feeling great, because for so long I had looking at my diary and empty, crickets, nothing. How am I going to get through next month? Well, things do come up, but it's to the bone every time. So to be able to know that and August has always been tough. August is absolutely sorted and more. September's great now, but September's filling and filling and filling. And so
we've got another 2 ads just running today, which is going to bring in.
It's this constant. It's fantastic.
You have to keep the leads up. One of the most important things is to make sure that that there is enough leads in the system. That's the key thing, you know, in this.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to be in charge of your own destiny. Rather than waiting for that phone to ring or for somebody to walk in through the door, for you to actually sit and go, no, I'm actually going to control my business. I'm going to control who's coming in and all the rest. And occasionally we take a risk, you know, but it makes a difference. Do you know what's refreshing actually, listening to you speaking there, is that there would be loads of people who are watching this who are in exactly the same boat as you, but they probably wouldn't tell anybody how bad it is. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, look, like any industry, there's egos there,
Yeah,
and
totally.
that includes myself really. And it took a little while. Obviously, like my close friends, I've got some really good friends in the industry, and it was an organic friendship where we all just realised we're all sort of cut from the same cloth, and we formulated this lovely friendship. And I know a lot of people in the industry that I absolutely think the world of, but there's no way that I would put it out there.
No.
I see it in groups all the time, and some people do come forward, but I know some of the biggest photographers and the biggest names have changed occupation for a number of reasons, but it has been really, really tough out there, and it's a shame, but it's where we're at. So yeah, I wouldn't have, but I'm not. It doesn't. I think it's a journey, so I'm not ashamed of it. It's a case of, right, well, you've got to do something about it, and then, like you say, once your mindset's changed, then you can sort of move forward. You attract much better things when you're just in this positive frame of mind and you're busy, and I thrive off being busy. It's strange because I don't get anything done when I'm quiet. I struggle to motivate myself, and I can't think creatively like nothing. Whereas when I'm busy, my head is probably hence why I stayed up so late last night thinking. I was just thinking about work, I was thinking about all sorts good things, all good things. But your head's just.
It's amazing as well how positivity, and don't get me wrong, I am not one of these psychobabble mindset type people at all. I'm far more practical. I'm more about figures and getting people in through the door and giving them a good time. That's it. I'm not really that interested in delving into their lives too deeply. They just want to come and get a beautiful picture done and have a nice time. But it's amazing how, if you have a positive attitude, how incredible your business can be, and it will be. And I've worked with people who are obviously no names, but who just everything was miserable. Everything was miserable. It didn't matter what it was. You know, they could have 7 sessions booked in the diary at the weekend. I was like, oh man, that's amazing. Got 7 sessions booked in the diary, and they would go, yeah, but they'll probably not all show. Or, oh, what happens if the 7 of them come? I'm going to be really tired. Well, for God's sake, just rather than being happy about this, there's a negative. And that negative, by the way, rubs off on everybody who's associated with you. It rubs off on your colleagues, your family, your friends. Because if you're like that all the time, it just brings people totally down, you know. So having a positive attitude is so important, you know. I
rewarded myself on Saturday night after a full day, and it was fantastic with back-to-back clients all day with a kebab. That was my Saturday.
A kebab?
Absolutely love it.
I thought you were on diet.
Well, not on Saturdays, don't count. So, not on Saturdays, calories don't count. But no, it affects everybody, and like I say, like my dad's much happier, my daughter, not that I'm obviously to sit and sort of tell her, she doesn't need to know any of that, but being able to, you know, sort of ensure that, you know, we've got great support around my daughter and her dad and his family and everybody, but still, you know, I can afford now to treat her to XYZ, you know, within reason, obviously, but, you know, no, we can't afford this, you know, it's a little bit more. I'm not saying that I'm like this, but, you know, it's like, I know we can do this, we can plan ahead, and we can afford to do these little things together, which is just priceless, really, in itself. So
that's great.
So yeah, no, I'm thrilled.
Right, this is a big long part of this video, so I'm going to wind it up now. But you know, thank you very much for being so honest. You know, because honestly, I think it makes a difference for people listening, because there'll be people that are going, God, that's me.
Yeah.
You know, that's me. And they'll not tell anybody, you know, and it's honesty is a great thing.
It's awful, and it's a bit isolating. Yeah. And I'm a venter, so everyone that I'm close to knew about it, but although I'm not going to, you know, tell the world, you know, that I was struggling with it. But yeah, 100% sort of getting through. Well, I am through the other side, and things are going up. So yeah, I'm
you understand. It's lovely to work with you. It really is.
Take the plunge, people. If you want to do it.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Rachel. To be absolutely honest with you, I should be exhausted at this stage. I've done 728 miles so far in my road trip. I've now visited 4 studios. I've got 1 left tomorrow. But surprisingly, I feel okay. And this is a brand new campsite I'm going to tonight, up near Northallerton, up in North Yorkshire. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a pub there and I can go and get a bite to eat and just relax when I get there. Great day with Rachel once again, and she's doing really well. We got so much done. We got new price lists ordered. We got 2 new Facebook ads up and running. Her diary's looking really busy. Average sale £1,000, as you heard earlier on, and I'm thrilled with her progress. And tomorrow we're going to head up to Newcastle, and I'm going to meet up with Chris Greenwood and his wife Shazia, and they have a company called Chocolate Chip Photography, and they're primarily wedding photographers, but they saw me speak at Digital Lab. I did a talk there for a day about how to make more money from portraiture, and they signed up with me at that day, as did one of my other studios, a guy called Jim Longland, who is from Berkhamsted and is a dog photographer, and I'm visiting Jim as well, but I do a separate trip for that. So anyway, I've got 1 more to go tomorrow, and then listen to this, listen to the planning behind this. I get home tomorrow night at round about probably 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then I've got to be up early the next morning to go to, just wait for this, a stag do. Stag do up near Loch Lomond. And then after the stag do on Sunday, probably have to leave late morning. I'm heading to the ferry to go across to Ireland for my trip across to Ireland. So there's absolutely no rest for the wicked, and I'm sure I'm going to be absolutely knackered. However, it's part of the job and I love it. Catch you later, guys, once I get up to Northallerton. Bye just now. Well, good morning, and it's another beautiful day. I was up at 6:45 this morning. I had a shower. It's a lovely caravan site, right off the A1 motorway. It's 2 minutes off the motorway, so it's great. So last night I went and had a steak dinner, which was fantastic. As you can see here by the effect, the smoke effects, I've got my coffee sitting here ready to have. Had my breakfast. But do you know, there's one thing that I forgot to show you this week, and that is, I have never got my organ out for you. A bit of seaside humour there, British seaside humour. I take my organ with me. It's a piano, actually. It's a Yamaha classic piano. So anyway, listen, I use it for practice, and if I'm writing a song, or if I've got a gig coming up and I'm putting a set together, and yeah, just play it. I love it. So my 3 things are photography, obviously, music would be next, and then food and wine and travel, all combined into one. And that's what I love. But listen, this is my last day today. It has been a long week, I must say, and I'm leaving around about 15 minutes. I'll be leaving to head up to Newcastle. It's about an hour, and I'll get up to Chris and Shazia's at around about 9 o'clock, something like that, and we'll have the day there. Now these guys are in a slightly different boat to perhaps other ones. They've got a very successful wedding business. They do a lot of weddings. They don't have the same problems as Scott had, which was the weddings have dried up down south. But these guys seem to be getting lots and lots of weddings, so good on them. However, they also moved out a studio and they've moved back to their home, and they've got a garage at the side of the house. And they saw me doing a talk, and they employed me to help build that portrait business up, because what's the point of having a studio if you're not using it properly? So we've been working with Chris and Shazia for a little while now. Chris likes all these things in place, but before he goes ahead, I'm slightly the opposite. I kind of put them in place and then I worry about them afterwards and change them, and he's one of these guys that like them sorted out, which is fine. Everybody's different, you know. But anyway, that's fine. I'm going to head up there now, shortly, 10 minutes. I'll put Morgan away and we'll see you in Newcastle. Bye just now. Here we go. It's just 8:56 in the morning and I've arrived in Newcastle. I'm at Chris and Shazia's home studio. They have a garage set up as a portrait studio where they do newborns and families and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what we're going to get up to today, but I've no doubt we'll talk to Chris at some point during the day. My last visit this week, and I'm looking forward to getting home tonight. We'll talk when we're finished as well, and catch you soon. And I think it's quite interesting that you've actually got quite a successful business. Just tell us a little bit about your...
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I first spoke to you February 2025 about kind of working together. Yep. I don't think of myself as a photographer first and then a business person second. Right. I think of myself as a business person first, and the photography is something that I enjoy, that is a way for me to run the business. Excellent. Like I'm not the person who's up on the beach at 4 o'clock on a Sunday morning capturing the sunrise. In the nicest way possible, I don't care. Like, you know, I'm quite happy in bed, do you know what I mean? Like, and I generally don't take photographs unless I'm being paid for it, you know what I mean? So that's my approach. It's a job, but I love my job. Like, I do love my job. Whereas I know a lot of people, they love photography, they love taking photographs, and sometimes people struggle with the business part, sometimes people don't, but a lot of people are photographer first. Yes. I am not. Whether that has something to do with it probably does. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I think is there's various different reasons why I think we're doing well. Last year was a bit of a struggle, as in last year 2024. Yep. Everything was generally down, so less people were getting proposed to, and therefore less people were planning weddings, so the wedding industry had a dip. People were going through cost of living in the studio, so obviously numbers were generally down a little bit on the studio, and it was the same for me. I wasn't exempt from that, but I think for us, I don't really pay attention too much to what other photographers are doing, but you have little conversations here and there, and I was worried that we were not having a good year last year, and it wasn't till Shazia, my wife, said to me, well, actually, like, how many bookings have we took this year? X amount. Well, so-and-so's only taken 3. And it was like, wow. And then I was actually hearing these stories from first-hand from photographers. I've got 3 bookings in for next year, whereas normally they'd have 50, 60. Yeah. So everyone was going through the ringer last year, and we took a bit of a dip, but at the same time, I think we did very, very well. I'm not going to say the best, because but we did very, very well during the dip. Yeah. Now, obviously, this year, things have started to pick up again a little bit, so we're doing even better. And there's a few different reasons for that. And again, what I said before about being business first, we anticipated these dips coming back in 2022. So we took measures back then in 2022 to reduce our costs and our outgoings. Therefore, if there is going to be a dip, the easiest way to survive making less money is to be saving money. And I've always said it's easier to make money by saving money.
Can I just be, what did you do?
So we moved out of our commercial premises that was costing us 25 grand a year. Yep. So that was a big saving. We also just went through and in the past my attitude was always like, we're making more money than we're earning, so what's it matter? But then when I started thinking about these things, I was like, actually, if we can shave £400 off our business, get a better quote on the business insurance, and do we really need to be paying for that? Or, like that kind of thing. It was just reducing the amount we were spending on I mean, not necessarily crap, but just, you know, sometimes you do waste money. We've been through that process in the past. We've spent money on things that were wasting money in the past, and you have to learn.
Yeah.
And you have to learn.
Yeah.
But kind of, I feel like we've done this long enough for me to be very much, I'm a numbers person, I was very much like, right, look, this is where we need to be, this is what I'm expecting the dip to be. So even by saving 25 grand a year on a studio, it's like, if we are 25 grand a year worse off, we are still in the same place as we were last year in terms of profit. It was just kind of coming at it from that point of view. But the benefit now in 2025 is that things are going up again, but I've still got the reduced costs. So my profit has just increased more.
Absolutely.
And in some ways, it was a good exercise to go through and start trimming the fat, because now we're lean in terms of expenses, but profit's gone up. So it's going well. But I think the main thing I said to you when we first started is that my reason for coming to you wasn't because it was like, Kenny, look, I'm in the mess here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm really struggling. There's no one coming in. Like, it wasn't that. It was a case of like, things could be better right now, but everything's okay. I'm thinking more about the medium to long term. I'm 40 now. My partner's 40 next end of this week. It's like, you know, how much longer do we want to keep doing the weddings for? And very importantly, how long are we going to be able to connect with our clients? Because every year that we get older, the average age of people getting married stays the same. So we just move further out of that demographic. And in 20 years time, when I'm 60, am I going to be able to connect with 25, 35-year-olds the same way I can now? Probably not.
Very interesting you say that, because you've got a very, very young style. Your photography is very young and hip.
Fresh, it's
very different, and I think you're right in that. Now, I never thought about that, Chris, but I think you're right in that. You will gradually grow out of that. They will gradually go, we don't want these old people, we want the new.
And don't get me wrong, Kenny, like a lot of people, there are people out there getting married who don't really care about the photographer, who they are. They just want the photographs, you know, whether that is, I think the people who don't want, sometimes I've done weddings for not a lot of money where the people have been lovely. I've also done a few weddings for not a lot of money where the clients have been really difficult. Like back in the early days, you know, when you didn't charge a lot. I also think that works at the other end of the scale. So the people who've got a lot of money, they can either be the loveliest people in the world, or they can treat you like the service and be a nightmare. We've found our clients nicely settled in the upper end of the middle, where they're just really nice, lovely people, and they truly value us. I'm talking about weddings specifically, but like they truly value what we do. Like, and the fact that they're paying a decent amount of money to get us there adds to that value. So, but I think a big part of what we do and how we attract clients, for the weddings at least, has always been on our connection with the clients and how well we get on with them. You know, we spoke before, people by people, and it's a big part of what we do. So it's important to us to get the right clients through the door, and it's also important for our clients that they connect with their photographers. Now, on that note, that if that connection is so important for us now, like I just said, will we still connect in 20 years time? Maybe, I don't know. I think if we stay young and stay fresh, I think it might be okay. But me coming to you was like, I still think in the studio that personal side of things matters. I just don't think it matters as much. So kind of moving forward, I think it's just a different, I don't know, I can't describe it. It's just a different angle in the studio. And I just think long term, studio, transitioning into studio over the medium term is probably what our future holds, if that makes sense. And that's why I came to you. Do you know what I mean?
It's quite interesting, because you're the only person I've ever worked with who's kind of quite happy to go at this slow pace and get it all right. You know, and I know you're that type of person in any case. I know you like things to be absolutely on the nail. You like things to be right.
Well, there's just a balance. I'm not going to be anal about certain things. Like, you know, I understand also things are never perfect. You know, like sometimes things evolve and you improve things. I get that. But I also, when I started working with you, I said, look, I'm busy enough right now. Don't worry about getting people through the door straight away. What I'd rather do is make sure the automation is set, systems are in place, you know, stratas, automations. So, because one of the biggest things is, it's me and my partner, we do the weddings together, but I just do the studio stuff. Shazia does not. So I was having to manually send people emails, number of times people like, I didn't get that email. You know, you're trying to do everything yourself. And I can't remember if you said this to somebody else, but in a sole trader / partnership business, unless you've got automation, you can't do everything yourself. So I was looking to make my life easier, but what I would rather have done is got all that right and then go, instead of being like, look, we need to get people through the door. And I think that was a nice position to be in, because obviously you were very much like, look, you're paying me, but I need to get people through the door, so you're making some money. And I'm like, I get that, but it's not just about getting people through the door in terms of getting value out of you. It's kind of like, or what I'm paying you. It's like, if I can get all these systems in place, and even if it takes us 4, 5, 6 months, moving forward, everything will be stronger. Do you know what I mean? And that's, right. I'm thinking long term. And it was probably, if I'd have been in the crap and that, Kenny, I need people through the door right now, it might have been different, but obviously it wasn't. So.
Well, what's interesting, we haven't really went deeply into any promotion stuff. We've got one thing running with a third party company, and that's going really well at the minute. And but what's really reassuring, without having all these systems in place totally yet, is your sales are actually starting to really rock now, and that's fantastic to see. It really is, you know. I mean,
we've obviously today we've gone through a bit more of the sales process, and just the little tweaks that you've suggested today will make a big difference. And I think, you know, I remember when I first started doing this, 12, 13, I can't remember, 14 years ago. And people were always like, oh, Chris, you'll be no bother self-employed because I lies to an Eskimo. It's like, well, it's all well and good, but what if the Eskimos don't have any money and they don't want to buy the ice? It's kind of like, it's all well and good, easy people saying, you know, you can sell ice to an Eskimo. Well, actually, that's, anyone can get, not anyone can do that, but anyone can kind of do that. It's trying to sell something to someone that they really don't need, that they really don't have the money for. And especially if you're getting them in the studio for a session that they didn't really seek out, do you know what I mean? Like just a voucher or whatever. That's the tough bit, you know. Someone coming in for a portrait session who wants to buy stuff, that's easy. It's kind of trying to sell it, you know. And also just the little things that you implemented in terms of mindsets, in terms of you're thinking about the average, not the individual session. So it doesn't, I mean, we went through our average sales and the sales for the last 12 months when the first session you came in with Nina. And I didn't have a zero sale in over a year. I mean, probably since pre-COVID. So it's been a long, long time. And you were very clear, when you go down this route of more volume, you will probably get zero sales. And I remember in probably pre-COVID times, 2017, 2018, when I used to do competitions, you would get zero sales. And I remember phoning up Shazzy being like, they didn't spend anything, how dare they? Do you know what I mean? I was so angry about it. And you just went, look, it's not about that. It's about the average. And the volume leads to the average. So just get them through the door, and that's been a big thing as well. Like that whole just get them through the door. Like
getting your mind right for that's quite difficult. When you've been a photographer, it's relied on, you know, past clients coming back, you know, referrals, generically, you know, organic customers coming in through the door. Generally, these people are always going to spend some money with you. But do you know what's really interesting? The big sales, the mega sales for most of the studios that have had mega sales, you know, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, whatever it may be, quite often these people actually come from a competition, a draw, and you just hit lucky. You just hit lucky that you've managed to get somebody who would never have picked up that phone to book you, but the wife's went, oh, I'll enter that, and suddenly you've hit the right person who have got the money, who love their family, love what you do, and spend a fortune with you. It's really interesting. Whereas you tend to find that the generic people that come along, the people who come along organically, will have a figure in their mind about what they're going to spend
because they were seeking it out.
Exactly.
And doing that.
It's a kind of, again, it's a strange thing to get into your head, but that tends to be how it works. But the kind of key thing here is that, and we discussed this earlier on as well, and I think this is really interesting, and it's a simple statement, that you cannot sell pictures to anybody that isn't sitting in your settee looking at the pictures on that screen in tears. That's it.
It's one of the big things I've changed. I mean, we went through, like I said earlier in the video, and we went through all my averages and stuff, and you said, look, you've got a great average. Obviously, you know, if you're not implementing all the stuff that we're doing and you've already got a great average, that could only go up in theory.
100%.
But kind of, you know, you were very much like, the issue is not the experience when they're in, because when they come in they spend well, it's getting them through the door. So I came away from that, and obviously when I've been getting inquiries, it took maybe a few weeks to get comfortable with what I was saying to people, but kind of I came away from it being like, you know, if someone would have inquired for a newborn shoot before, I would have been like, well, you know, it's a £50 session fee, and then you could do this, and then, you know, the images start from there, and da. Whereas then now I'm just thinking, look, just get them through the door. So even if you just like, so now my terminology has changed more to, so we do this voucher, it includes the session fee, which is worth this, the frame is worth this, I can do that for £50, £25 for you. enough of a low number that they're just through the door. And then, so like, you know, my biggest sale was last week, you know, so far, our biggest ever sale in 9+ years, you know, just over $3,000, which is not the biggest sale ever, but that's it's a milestone.
It's a milestone, yeah.
And, you know, that came because the sister had followed us on Facebook, I think, had contacted us, and she said, look, I want to get a voucher for my sister because they've just had a new kid. And I was like, yeah, it's just £50 to get them booked in, and then they booked in, and then
Exactly.
you know, so it's just getting them through the door. And I think having that mindset and not quibbling about the bits before.
Yes.
The money's going to be made later when they see the pictures, and like you said, if they ain't on your sofa looking at the pictures, they ain't going to spend. So get them on the sofa, you know.
Also, with that family that came in who have been following you on Instagram, socials, prior to, let's say it was last year, they couldn't have spent. They couldn't have possibly have spent $3,000 with you.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because of the structure or the price list with the packages and all the rest of it.
Well,
I just wonder how many, probably millions of pounds photographers are missing by not offering their customers wall art.
Yeah.
Customers who actually would have loved to have bought some wall art, but they didn't have the opportunity because it was on the price list. They were offered packages.
Well, I think for me, like we discussed this. So I did used to offer wall art, but it was structured differently than it's structured now.
Yeah.
So the way it always was I sold digital images. I was always higher priced. So my digitals were $795, which the highest local competitor was charging $495.
It's a decent price.
So I was always charging $795. Now again, when people were coming in and sat on the sofa, they'd willingly spend $795, which was why when we worked out my average, it was about 880 odd quid. I think between 8 and 900 quid.
Exactly.
So a lot of people were going for all the digitals because they were seeing them, looking at them, and I was popcorn pricing, so they felt like they got a lot of value for $795.
Yeah.
But at the research and inquiry stage, people were easily just going, well, they do $395 all the digitals, or $195, $295, whatever. And you said to me in the early days, I can't remember when it was, either before or just when we started working together, you were saying that, I talked about this race to the bottom and how people are always racing to undercut each other. One of the big things I always done, and it was hard at times, was to not lower my pricing of my digital images, because I just didn't want to be working them for less than what I thought I was worth. And that's an important part of being self-employed, because I also think that's a slippery slope in itself. Once you start undercharging and kind of you feel like you should be charging more, you start getting resentful of the clients and things that, you know, because it's not their fault, it's your fault. Why are you not charging what you're worth? So anyway, that digital image thing, you said to me, look, people can easily put a value on digital images because everybody does digital images. But with frames for the wall, you couldn't walk into a room and tell somebody how much that frame's worth. And I think the more I've thought about it, it's like, you know, you think about art, people spend a fortune on art. Now it's all about how it's perceived, but someone will spend £2 million on a frame with some artwork inside. How is this any different?
Absolutely.
And you said to me, it's harder for them. So you'll get less quibbles on pricing when it comes to frames. One, because it's harder for them to put a numerical value on it, because we might see it as wood, glass and paper, but they see their baby or their family on the wall, the memories, don't they?
Yes.
But also it's that part of it which is, you know, you're not just doing digitals like everybody else. You're offering something different, and you're offering something tangible. So when they come back and they pick up their frame and they have it in their hands, they're like, oh my God, this goes on the wall. Do you think people regret that? Never.
No.
So I think that's a big part of it. But that's what's changed things, I think, since I started working with you. So I said before, I did offer artwork, but the way I approached it in the viewing sessions was always, right, so we'll sort your digitals first, then we'll look at frame.
Yep.
And obviously, by the time they've overspent maybe on their digitals, I'd probably say I think I worked it out, 40% of people got artwork before I started working with you, which is okay, which is fine. But obviously, since I started working with you and we put artwork first and there's no digitals, 100% people have gone for artwork. So it's kind of, yes, I might miss out on a few, you said you might miss out on a few sessions where people are like, I want digital images. You just have to let them go.
But you know, the other thing, Chris, is that when you have got digital, you know, I have got no doubt that your digitals were on your website at £795. They weren't, right? Okay, well, most people, if you go to most photographers that are doing digital packages, they're going to have their packages there, right? So it's going to be 5 digitals for 395, 10 digitals for 595, and whatever it is for 20 digitals or whatever, right? What you're saying to your, and I just did a video on this, by the way, on YouTube, and what you're saying to your customers, just choose me by price. That's all you're saying. Choose me by price. Don't choose me by value. Don't choose me by my experience. Don't choose me by the quality of my pictures. Just choose me based on price, which is ridiculous when you think about it. And you think about the way we... So these photographers are losing out to other photographers because the customers aren't getting a chance to come in and experience what they do. They're getting judged just purely on price. And that's crazy. And I think that the way that we do it, right, is just such a more sensible and moral way to do it.
Yeah.
Which is, look, here's a really great offer. Alex Hormozy, the great internet marketer, right? Alex Hormozy does the $1 million leads and the $1 million books. They're amazing books. And the $1 million offer. And he talks about the offer. The offer has to be unbeatable. If you're giving somebody an offer, it has to be an offer that they cannot refuse.
Yeah.
And I took a lot from that when I read that, and I thought, you're absolutely right. What's the point in giving somebody an offer that isn't that great?
Yeah.
Let's give somebody an offer that's great, and let's get them in and let's blow their socks off and make loads of money. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, what made things easier for me to approach you about working together was that I knew the importance of the experience from before. So like we focused on that for a long time. That's why the studio's set up beautifully. It's drinks fridge, snack crates, like
100%.
everything. Like touch points. I'll introduce more touch points since I started with you, but there was always that kind of thing. And honestly, one big thing that changed it for me about the understanding of the experience is we went to we did a trip around Vietnam, Cambodia and Thailand. I'm going to say Christmas 2018, let's say. And I decided just to bump us up to business class as a treat for Shazia. And as a surprise, she ended up finding out, but that's by the by. Anyway, that changed everything. Because I remember at the time, I had people, including my dad, was like, oh, he's spending $4,000 each on flights. You could get a motorbike for that. And I'm like, well, I could get a motorbike for that. But no, I did. And he was like, why are you doing it? I was like, I don't know. I just want to experience it. I want to go and we've got the money. I would like, and I've got the money right now. I would like to go and experience it. And we did. Changed everything. Because that helped me understand it's not just a flight seat. It's the experience from A to B. And it's the same with the business. It's not just about the taking of the photographs. It's the experience from A to B. And there's nothing different about it. It's, would you like some more nuts? Would you like this? Would you like, I've got a drinks fridge and a snack crate. Everything's complimentary. You just please take what you want while you're here and enjoy yourself. If you need a sugar cake, take some food at the snack crate. You helped me get the brochures printed, the studio brochures, these ones. The quality and the feel of them, the velvet page finishes. Like I'm a sucker for the details.
Totally.
So for me, all them little things just aid in the experience along the way. But obviously first and foremost is them coming in, having a nice time, me chatting with them, conversing with them. Obviously no stress on their end. They're bringing a newborn in, everything's just nice and lovely. They just sit and watch me work. All of it adds to the experience, but then adding them little touches in, I think 100%. Just takes you from there to there.
Do you know what's really interesting though? Is that this isn't a £4,000 business class seat. This is a £25 offer that we're giving them this incredible experience. And that's the difference, because most people have a perception about what's going to happen to them when they come into a studio, even if they've never been to a studio before, or perhaps they've been to one of the best studios in the country, and they've got they will have an expectation. And what we're doing on this cheap offer to get them in the door is we're going, no, we're giving you a cheap offer, but we're giving you business class quality here. That's the difference, or Michelin star quality, or the best spa in the world quality. That's the difference.
And they won't expect that either, will they?
And that's exactly what, exceeding their expectations. Whereas you go on a business class flight, or you go on a 3 Michelin star restaurant, your expectations, by the way, mate, are sky high. So
it's easy also to be kind of like, actually it didn't meet expectations.
It's much easier for us. It's much easier for us, So no, it's brilliant. It's been really interesting working with you, because it's been a different experience for me. Because I'm normally dealing with people who are really struggling, and like properly struggling, and it's kind of nice to come in and do this slower, more meticulous getting everything in place type of
Pressure's
process.
off.
Pressure's off type of thing.
I think the other thing that's been nice for me as well is that, like, you know, we've done well, we're doing well, and there's one other reason for that which I'll talk about in a second. But what's been nice as well is to have somebody else like yourself come in and bring other ideas to the table. Like you were talking about doing the vouchers at the restaurant and stuff. Like I would have never thought about that. And you said today, like, send the photos off to the third party. Like I just didn't think about that. And sometimes you need that external input with experience to kind of bring to the table, and that's only going to make things better. But all I was going to say is, I mean, I'm going to go right back to the beginning here where you said, you know, about we're doing well and everything else. And I think the big thing for me is I remember years ago I saw this thing where it was Jimmy Iovine, who owns Interscope Records, or he did own Interscope Records in America, and he did the beats with Dre. He did a documentary called The Defiant Ones, and he was very much kind of like, look, I'm like a racehorse, blinders on, go. Like, I don't pay attention to what they're doing. I don't pay attention to what they're doing. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what they're doing. I am just go. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the way I've always approached it. Since then, since I saw that, I was like, that's it. That's absolutely right. And I've always done that. I've pretty much come off social media now because I'm like, I don't care. Go.
And do you know what? It's a brilliant way to be. And you'll notice that I've never once, since I've been here, or indeed any of my other studios, I have never once asked about any competition. I've never asked who's your competition, who else is in the area, because quite frankly, I don't care. Quite frankly, I just want to concentrate on what we're doing and know what anybody else is doing. When you start to worry about what other people are doing, you're on a slippery slope.
Yeah. So we see it like wedding exhibitions and stuff. You'll see people coming past lurking by the stand, and you know there are other photographers and stuff, and it's like, fine, whatever, but you don't see me going around doing the same thing. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't care.
But it's also, Chris, what happens is, you know, we saw it many years back. You know, we would be up in the shopping centre doing exhibitions and having our questionnaires and competitions and selling vouchers, and you could always tell there was other photographers watching, and then the next thing, 2 weeks later, they would be in. But Chris, they haven't got the method, they haven't got the secret sauce. They don't know the things to do after you've got that lead or you've sold that voucher, and the whole communication and experience that we give to the customers, which is what makes the big sales. So they're going in there now and spending £2,000 for a week in the shopping centre and come back with a load of leads, and they get wasted because they're no big spenders because they don't know they don't know the scripts, they don't know the processes, they don't have the automations in place. So as I say, I never worry about competition.
And I think off the back of that, what I would say is, from, like, in my experience, that, like, getting the script, getting the knowledge of the script, so, you know, everything that you just spoke about either comes from your own experience, it comes from experience, either your own experience or your experience, and essentially that's what I'm paying you for, because what you're doing is bringing years of experience, years of examples, years of going through all this. So instead of me having to go through it organically to figure this out myself, which I might have figured out in 4 years' time, you can just be like, well, have you thought about this? Fast track it. And that's basically exactly what we're paying for. Now, obviously, when we first spoke, I'd said that I'd been working with somebody else, and I you know, that was what that was, and it was more money with you. But in my mind, I was like, but hang on a minute, yes, it might be more money, but if you're, I don't think you said I'll guarantee results, but basically in my mind I'm thinking, look, if I follow Kenny's thing and I'm guaranteed the results that he's kind of saying I'm going to get, surely that's worth the money, and it absolutely has been. So yeah.
Well, there's no point in spending £200 and getting you know, what's better, you know, a £200 course that you get nothing back, or a £2,000 course that you get 40 grand back. You're going, hang on a minute here.
Well, I remember you saying to me, it's like, if I told you you could have this amount of money back and all you had to spend was this much, would you take it? Of course I would. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
But there's always that, in the back of your mind, like I say, it's no guaranteed, because it's not just up to me, it's up to you or up to the studio that I'm working with to make this work. I'm only there one day a month and back up. But I can understand why people go, oh my god, I can't do this is just too much money. Because particularly when you're struggling, by the way, as well, you know, when you're struggling, you suddenly say, give me that amount of money, give me a couple of grand and I'll come and visit your studio and sort your studio out. You know, hang on, I can't afford that, you know. And so I do get that as well. But yeah, it's pretty much like, give me 14 grand in the year and I'll give you back 100. How does that sound? Sounds alright.
It doesn't sound bad.
But I can understand people's reluctance because it's scary. I
think, I mean, I'll be honest, you know, obviously it didn't take me long to make a decision the fact that I came to see you talk at Digital Lab, I'd already in my mind was actively thinking about it. Yeah. And obviously when I came away, I was looking at the numbers, and it was simply a case of like, initially I was like, can I afford to spend £1,200 a month on this? And then that other voice was like, can you afford not to? Yeah. And I was like, no, I can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I think, like I said before, it helped the fact that I'd done some of the, like you were speaking about the shopping centre thing before, and how other people will see something and be like, all right, we'll do that. Yeah. Now, obviously, I've never done that, but years and years ago, when I used to do Facebook competitions, I mentioned earlier, some of the things that you do, I did. I just didn't really know what I was doing properly with them. So I was getting people through the door, but I wasn't implementing anywhere near what we're doing here. So it was just a lucky dip as to whether they were going to come in. I mean, some of the, like you said before, some of the best spending clients came in as competition winners. And I've had clients who, I had one client, it was two mums, they came in with a newborn and they spent about 1,700 quid. Yep. This was competition 2019, let's say. And then they came back earlier this year and spent another 2,000 and something with their second bird, and they started as competition winners. Yes. And then I've had other people come in and they take the free frame. So you said to me, you will get a mix, but kind of, you're looking for the averages. And I just knew, I knew the methodology. So I was like, I know it works, but if I can take that and take Kenny's stuff and put that,
100%. Yeah. And the big thing, I think this is the biggest thing that when I work with the studios, when we're moving to this model, when I say to them, look guys, we put down an £800 average in your business plan. We're achieving an £800 average. I don't want to hear when I come to your studio, I don't want to hear the moans about the 4 people that took their freebie that month. I want to concentrate on the other people who spent a couple of £1,000 with you. Because at the end of the day, we're hitting our average. That's a key thing. And if you can get into your head that the people who spend 4,000 or 2,000 and the people who spend 0 are actually all spending 800, that makes such a difference in your mindset. So when you're standing in your studio and you've got 5 sessions on the Saturday, and the 5 sessions walk in and you go 800, 800, 800, 800, 800, it's an amazing feeling. Yeah. And somebody might come along and spend $4,000 and the next person might come along and spend nothing. But you know what? That's still a $2,000 average.
I remember I had a really good quarter 4 last year, so I had a lot of good sales last quarter 4, and then I had a few families in January this year, and all of them were good sales apart from one. I did £185 on one of the sales. Lovely family, but they didn't spend as much as the others. And I was not angry about it. I was just a bit like, like I'm a bit gutted about that one. And one of my friends who is she's just retired, but she was self-employed for a long time. She said, the key thing about this is the £185 they did spend, they chose to spend it with you. And I was like, that's actually a really good point. And that then just flipped that. I was like, right, done, out the way. And again, I wasn't thinking about averages because I'd not started working with you at that point. But that's another way of thinking about it as well. For the ones that do come in and maybe only spend 50 quid, 100 quid, they chose to spend it with you.
And either they haven't got the money or perhaps they've not done something right. But listen, that's the scenario. That's what they've done. So it's next. It's on the next one, and do your best with the next one. So that's great. Listen, I'm probably going to run out of videotape here. This has lasted for.
I did. I don't know if I warned you, but obviously I'm a talker, so.
No, we know that. But no, it's really interesting. I think for people watching this to see there is a different, everybody thinks I just deal with people who are really struggling, but it's interesting to see that I actually deal with people who are doing quite well as well. I want to do better. I mean, it's really interesting.
Last thing, I guess, I said to you earlier, at the start of this year, everything had dipped last year. The weddings was in an okay place. The studio was a little bit quieter. My dad was self-employed for years, and he always said, don't stress it when it's quiet. He said, don't do nothing. He said, use the time and the fact that it's quiet and that negativity to fuel getting things sorted. And that's when I went out and started making connections and relationships and really kind of used that negativity as a fuel to do better. But kind of, I always thought to myself, I wasn't in a terrible place. It was more of just thinking forward and being like, right, well, I cannot do anything now and wait till it gets really bad. And then I'd be coming to you like, you know what I mean? Or I come to you now while things are okay, and then we're not making emotional decisions. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't make emotional decisions coming in here. You'd give me structure, but it's easy for me to go away and make emotional decisions based on that we're in a bad place. we're not there. So I think actually it's allowed me and obviously you as well just to make sensible, just have a sensible approach with how we've done it.
No, it's great.
And I think the other thing I was going to mention as well is the fact you mentioned earlier about overwhelming.
Yes.
It's it's overwhelming. You know, a lot of people fear it because it's overwhelming. I think what's been nice is that we've just done a bit every month. Do you know what I mean? First month we got Stratus set up, and then the second month we kind of finished off Stratus, and then last month we did a first birthday thing, and the month before that we did some other stuff. We've just done bit by bit by bit, and that's been nice as well because it's not been like, right, Chris, here's all this stuff to do, and you're kind of like
and I kind of do that. I mean, sometimes we have to do that with people, you know, who are desperate to get the money, you know, desperate to get some money in through the door. No, this has been great, and it's been lovely to work with you as well, Chris. It's a totally different thing for me as well, working with you guys, and that's been a joy. It's been great, and I'm looking forward to a long relationship with you guys. So.
Yeah, let's do.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much, Chris. Thank you. Mate. All the best. Well, guys, after an extraordinary week of mentoring, I am finally home, and I do live in the most beautiful part of the world. Really, it's stunning up here. Around about 950 miles, 5 studio visits, 5 different campsites, far too much alcohol, some really nice food, some brilliant times with my mentor studios. So that was Scott, Darren, Ryan, Emma, Rachel and Chris today. I'm looking forward to a little barbecue tonight with my grandson and his girlfriend and my wife Nina. I'm delighted to be home. I've got a stag do tomorrow. I'm off to Ireland on Sunday. It's going to be a busy time. If any of you guys want to know what I'm up to, or if you would like me to come and visit your studio to see if I can help sort you out, or you would like to go into an online mentoring program, or if you would like to just have a discovery call with me for absolutely free, just for a half-hour chat to find out if I can help you, please don't hesitate to contact me through my website, which is thestudiodoctor.co.uk, and I'll be delighted to have a chat with you. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've really enjoyed making it. That's my first ever vlog, and I think I might make some more. It's been great, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again. Bye now.